The Doctor Who 60th anniversary is not off to a great start. There's a lot of problems with the show, but I think what ultimately disappointed fans can be boiled down to one thing. It's not like the original. The original in this case is season 4 of modern Doctor Who that came out back in 2008, where David Tennant was the Doctor and Catherine Tate was his companion, Donna Noble. They'd travel together through time and space, getting into the craziest of shenanigans, saving worlds, and examining the human condition by comparing Donna's morals against those of advanced alien races. Also, yes, 2008. If you remember that series fondly as part of your childhood, you're old now. Join the club. Now, of course, this special was never going to be exactly like the original. That's just not possible with any sort of adaptation. But I think a lot of fans who had stopped watching Doctor Who over the years at some point for one reason or another were hoping that this would remind them of the good old days. And I was in the same boat, because the series has seen less popularity in the recent years. Some of the more recent episodes with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor have seen viewing ratings as low as 3.5 million in the UK, which may seem like a lot. But when you consider the fact that episodes with Tennant as the Doctor consistently reached up to 10 million viewers, and the lowest viewed episode of that time was 6.1 million, you start to see the problem. The show did continue to be popular after Matt Smith took over, sometimes again reaching the 10 million threshold. In fact, the show's all-time peak of online interest was back in 2013, when, for the 50-year special, David Tennant and Matt Smith both appeared as the Doctor. Since then, the show has been on a slow decline, and the hype for it has been meh. But then the BBC announces that not only is David Tennant coming back as the Doctor, but Catherine Tate is coming back as Donna Noble, and we, as the audience, might finally get closure on the very tragic way her character exited the show. Plus, Catherine Tate is generally hilarious, so anything with her in it will be a good time.
I don't mind an animal, but I'm not...
You prefer it on your plate, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
How can you not love a little furry ball of fun to cuddle up with you?
Stinking up your bed, leaving hairs everywhere. Come on.
Well, you don't have to sleep with men.
Yeah.
This was also helped by the news that Russell T Davies would be re-entering as the show's head writer, as he was responsible for many of the modern episodes of Doctor Who that fans consider to be the best, including all 3 of the 10th Doctor's season finales, which were often 2 or 3-parters. I was actually so excited when I heard this news that I went back and rewatched a lot of the old David Tennant Doctor Who episodes for the first time in probably over a decade to see whether they were actually as good as I remembered. And I was pleasantly surprised that they were. Sure, some of the visual effects haven't stood the test of time, but the story is genuinely hilarious and makes me care about the characters, which makes this special all the more disappointing. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels very anticlimactic. They sort of rush through plot points, and the moments that should feel very epic lack any gravitas. Like when the Roth are introduced, or when the Meep reveals their true nature. I don't know if it just needs some dramatic music, or if it's a problem with the editing or the camera work. I think one easy fix they could have done would have been to spread the Starbeast plot over 2 episodes instead of having it over just 1. Just to give the audience more time to get to know Donna's family and to build up the tension for the moment she does get her memories back. I also feel like it could have used an epic speech. I mean, Doctor Who is famous for its epic monologues where the Doctor just goes on for minutes, especially after he's regenerated. It gives the actor a chance to show off their chops and prove themselves capable of carrying the mantle to the audiences. It also helps the audience understand what kind of person this new Doctor is, as each of them tend to vary in their philosophies slightly, as seen when multiple iterations of the Doctor interact in specials and such. I guess they thought they didn't need to do that for this special, since it's the same Doctor as we've had before again. But I do feel like a speech would have helped to confirm whether this is the exact same Doctor as we remember from before, or whether the incarnations he had in between have changed him in any way. Oh well, I'm not the professional writer, and they are. Except, a lot of people seem to be agreeing that the first episode of these specials was lacking. So the show might be in trouble if they can't win people back with the next 2. also spare a moment to talk about how they make possibly the shallowest attempt I've ever seen at being inclusive. I mean, you have things like diverse casting, which is great, but the way they talk about issues like gender identity is so surface level. I think the scene that encapsulates this perfectly is when the doctor asks the Meep for their pronouns. They have Rose, a trans teen female, ask the doctor, a hundreds of years old, time-traveling, space-traveling, gender-fluid alien, why he assumed the Meep was male. To which the doctor responds, "Good point." That sort of feels like a chess national master telling a grandmaster how he or she thinks they should move their pieces. You are intelligent on this topic, just not more so than the person you're giving advice to. The grandmaster, which is the highest level, would not turn around and say, "Oh, thank you, I hadn't thought of that." And I just want to be perfectly clear, I don't have a problem with the show giving representation to trans and non-binary people. But there were so many better ways to do it than just shoving it down the audience's throat. For one thing, don't you think the Doctor would already know about pronouns himself, seeing that he's a Time Lord and has been a female before? Secondly, there's no way the Doctor hasn't already met a million different species who are non-binary, trans, or even hermaphrodites. I think a better way they could have written the scene was if Rose asked him why he assumed the Meep was male, and he responded something along the lines of, "Girl, do you know how many non-binary alien species I've met? Also, I've seen Meeps before. Males don't have the same shiny purple horns that females do." Or something equally ridiculous. That feels way more on brand for the Doctor. The way they did it is not nuanced, is what I think I'm trying to say. But I think even if you rewrote this scene, the overall product still wouldn't be great because of the other issues I mentioned. I suppose if this shows anything, it's that it takes more than one good writer to make a good TV show. The whole team working behind the project also needs to be good. What I'm hoping is this is just a one-off and the next 2 special episodes will be really good. It's unlikely, but I can hope. More than anything though, I hope that the team behind the show can take the failure of this first special on board and learn from it to do a good job going forward with the 15th Doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa. Because I really want to enjoy Doctor Who again.